Behind this newspaper hid the author of movie-style crime. A psychopath fooled the entire police force of England. This man's mind was so sick that he was only exposed when the identity of his wife was revealed.
Albert Walker thought that he had committed the perfect murder and that he was going to get away with it scot-free.
The beginning of the investigation was confusing. Some fishermen had found a body while casting their net in a place where they almost never went fishing. That marked the beginning of a case that got more and more complex.
He might have fallen off a boat going up the channel, and we get an awful lot of boats going up the channel, but nobody was reported as missing at the time.
Without knowing his identity, they realized due to the serial number on his watch that the body belonged to Ronald Platt. With the name on file, connections started to be made, and David Davis, Ron's friend, aroused immediate suspicion.
The importance of David Davis was rising within the inquiry, and it became apparent that he possibly knew more than he was actually telling her.
A police officer's visit to Davis's house marked the beginning of what would be the discovery of a gigantic crime. Because of course, that man was not just any criminal. He was one of the most wanted in the world.
Within a few hours, a huge piece of news came through to say, in fact, that the man we had in custody wasn't David Davis at all, and in fact his name was Albert Johnson Walker.
The police suspected that David Davis had taken on somebody else's identity, so they sent his fingerprints to Interpol, and sure enough, they were matched with a different name. This marked a complete turnaround in the investigation. Albert Walker wasn't just anyone but a known criminal who had escaped from Canada with his daughter after the theft of several $1 million.
Mr. Walker, we knew, had traveled to England and then to Switzerland. And at that point, the trail had gone cold, so we really had no idea where Mr. Walker was.
Walker had become Davis in England, but after his friend Ronald Platt's trip to Canada, he decided to turn into him. However, Ron's separation from his partner and his return to the UK became an obstacle in the criminal's path.
Albert Walker took Ronald Platt out as a friend on his boat, maybe for a bit of fishing, purely with the intention of taking him out there and killing him and dumping his body overboard.
The death that triggered the whole investigation was put on the back burner because in addition to the impersonations, Walker's life was a mystery. He had moved houses more than once in England with his wife, someone who, after an incredible revelation, acquired unusual prominence in the case. The age difference between him and his partner was clear. In fact, for many, it was all too obvious that Walker hid his darkest secret behind the relationship.
There was an occasion when we were in conversation and she called Ron Daddy. It left a mark. I noticed it, but didn't altogether think it odd.
The offender had entered into an incestuous relationship with Sheena, his daughter, with whom he would have 2 children.
When I spoke to her or asked her a question, she always looked to him for permission to answer the question, and I found that was very, very strange.
Albert Walker would be convicted of the murder of Ronald Platt and eventually sentenced to spend the rest of his life in prison.